See here. What is prime attribute or key attribute? Understood? What is first we need to know what is attribute. Attribute means attribute or field means the column name. The column name is known as attribute or field. Attribute or field. See here. This is the column name. EID is the column name. E-name is the column name. DOB is the column name. PAN is the column name. Aadhaar is the column name. IFSC is the column name. Account number is the column name. And EMP is the table name. EMP is the table name. Understood? Means these are the column names. So the column names are known as attributes or fields. Understood? And what is the prime attribute or key attribute? What is the prime attribute or key attribute? See, the attribute which belongs to the attribute which belongs to the candidate key are known as prime attribute. Prime attributes are also known as key attributes. The attributes which belong to the candidate keys are known as prime attribute or key attribute. See here. This is the EMP. This is the table name, employee table with a set of attributes. With set of attributes. Understood? In these attributes, what are the candidate keys? As we studied earlier, candidate keys are underlined. So here EID is the candidate key, PAN number is the candidate key, Aadhaar number is the candidate key, and IFSC and account number together is a candidate key. So how many candidate keys are there? 1, 2, 3 and 4 candidate keys are there. See here. What are the candidate keys? EID, PAN, Aadhaar and IFSC account number together is the candidate key. And what is the prime attribute or key attribute? See here. Attribute which belong to some candidate key of relational schema. See, what is relational schema? Relational schema means structure or definition of the relational database table or the relational DBMS means table name along with set of attributes, table name along with the set of attributes, and integrity constraints of the table is known as relational schema. We can use here relational schema or relation. Relation means table. Relation means table. Understood? So this is a relational schema because this is the table name along with set of attributes and integrity constraints. What are the integrity constraints here? EID is the candidate key, PAN number is the candidate key, Aadhaar number is the candidate key, IFSC and account number together is a candidate key. So here table name is here with the set of attributes are also here and integrity constraint is also here. So it is a relational schema. We can call as, so it is a relational schema. Understood? Attribute which belong to some candidate key of relational schema. If in this relational schema candidate keys are these 4 are the candidate keys. And what are the prime attribute or key attribute? Attribute which belong to some candidate key of relational schema means these are the candidate keys of the relational schema. And what are the attributes which belong to the candidate key? EID is the attribute which belong to the candidate key. PAN, Aadhaar, IFSC is also attribute which belong to this candidate key. Account number is also an attribute which belongs to this candidate key. Understood? So prime attribute set prime attribute set. Why it is attribute set? Because there are more than one attribute. Prime attribute set of employee relational schema are employee relation. Relation means table. This is an employee table. Employee relations are EID, PAN, Aadhaar, IFSC and account number. These attributes belong to the candidate key of the relational schema or employee relation. Understood? So these attributes are called prime attribute or key attribute, and the attributes which doesn't belong to any candidate key of the relational schema or relation are known as non-prime attribute or non-key attribute. So non-prime attribute set of employee relation is E-name and DOB. E-name and DOB is not a candidate key, and so these attributes are the non-prime attribute set, and these attributes are the prime attribute sets. Prime attribute set means attribute which belong to some candidate key of the relational schema or relation or table. Understood? So see one note here. Every DBMS table, there must be one candidate key whose field value not null. Means in DBMS table, in every DBMS table, there must be one candidate key whose field value not null. What is field value? Field means the name of the column. Example: EID, E-name, DOB, PAN, Aadhaar, IFSC, account number. These are the fields. And what is field value? Means value of these fields. Means value of EID is E1, E2, E3. Value of employee name is Ram, Syam, Gyan, etc. So these fields values means value of these fields must value every DBMS table. There must be one candidate key whose field value not null. Understood? See here, we have studied that in a relation there must be at most one primary key will be there. Means maximum one primary key will be there, and minimum 0. Means in a relation there can be 0 primary key or 1 primary key. Means in a relation there can be no primary key or 1 primary key, and no other conditions are there. In a relation there can be 1 primary key or no primary key. Means and we know that primary key is the candidate key whose field values are not allowed nulls. Means if in a table there is a primary key, means there is a candidate key whose field value is not null. Primary key means what? Primary key is a candidate key whose field values are not allowed nulls. Means if there is a primary key in a table, means there is a candidate key in the table whose field values are not allowed nulls. See here, in this relational schema R is the table name with set of attributes A, B, C, and integrity constants is A and B are candidate keys. So it is a relational schema with candidate keys A and B. And note is saying that there must be one candidate key whose field value not null. In this table, see, create table or a integer about data type and size of attribute. About data type and size of attribute, don't confuse. don't get confused in the data type and size of attributes, or if there is any syntax error. We will study about these in lab timings. Understood? We have to get concept only here, what we are trying to say here. Understood? See, A is the attribute which is primary key, B is unique, and C is integer. Means it is saying that A is the primary key, A is the primary key, and B is unique. Unique keyword is used for the alternative key, means B is the alternative key, and C is simply integer, means C is not a candidate key. Understood? There is nothing written here. Understood? So in this table there is a attribute, there is a candidate key, there is a candidate key whose field value is not null, because A is a primary key. Primary key means a candidate key whose field values is not null, is not allowed null. So there is a candidate key in this table whose field value is not null. Understood? B is unique, means B is alternative key, and alternative key field value can be null, and C is not a candidate key, so it is not a candidate key. It can be null or it cannot be null. It can be anything. It can be null also. Understood? B can also be null because it is an alternative key, and nulls are allowed in the alternative key. But A is a primary key, and in the primary key nulls are not allowed, and we also known as primary key is one of the candidate key whose field values are not nulls. So see here, every DBMS table there must be one candidate key whose field value not null. So there is a candidate key, A is a candidate key whose field value is not null. Why not null? Because A is primary key, and in primary key there is a constraint that nulls are not allowed here, so not null constraints are present here, so it is satisfied here. And but we know that there can be 0 primary key or 1 primary key. No other options are there. There is 1 primary key. If there is 0 primary key, if there is 0 primary key, see this example. In this example, there is no primary key here. There is no primary key here, means A and B both are alternative key. A and B both are alternative key. Here A and B both are unique. Both are unique. Both are unique means both are alternative key. Means in alternative key nulls are allowed, but it is saying that there must be one candidate key whose field value not null. Alternative key is also candidate key, but there must be one candidate key whose field value is not null, because since no primary key is there, so this candidate key. See here, this candidate key is alternative key, this candidate key is alternative key, but alternative keys, in alternative keys field values are nulls are allowed. In field values nulls are allowed. But according to this note, if there is no primary key, we have to make an alternative key as not null. So this A is the alternative key. Why it is alternative key? Because unique key is there. Unique key is used to represent alternative key, and it is not null. It is not null. It is not null. So there is a candidate key. There is a candidate key whose field value is not null, and there is no primary key. So we have made unique keyword, means we have made alternative key as not null. So there is a candidate key whose field value is not null. Alternative key is a candidate key, but alternative keys nulls are allowed, so we have put not null. So there is a candidate key whose field value is not null, and B is the only alternative key, means it is a candidate key whose field value nulls are allowed. So every RDP DBMS table, there must be one candidate key whose field value not null. Understood? See. Thank you.